Today, we're looking at the Korg NTS-1 5 years later to see if it's still worth the asking price. And spoilers, it absolutely is. But before we get into that, I would just like to say that today's patron shout out goes to Mike Pounder. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. Now, if for some reason you still don't know what the Korg NTS-1 is, it is this little assemble-it-yourself synth/effects box from Korg that came out, I believe, in 2020. Actually, it may have come out in 2019. Like super late. I got mine in early 2020 though. So out of the box, the Korg NTS-1, like I said, is this little do-it-yourself self-assembly type kit, but don't let that scare you. It's basically just a few screws and then sticking on the keyboard and plugging in the plug to the main board. If I can do it, anyone can. It gives you a really basic synthesizer, monophonic. You get some different wave shapes, different filters, different envelope modes, and then some actually pretty solid effects out of the box with some modulation effects, so phaser, chorus, that kind of thing. Some delays, ping pong's my favorite, and some pretty decent reverbs out of the box, as well as a really basic arpeggiator. Now, all of that on its own for $93 US is already a pretty killer deal. I'm not going to waste any time showing you the basic sounds because I have a zillion videos on this channel of me doing that already, and there's a ton here on YouTube. But if that was all the NTS-1 offered, it would still probably be worth the $93 US. However, what has kept this device relevant, in my opinion, is its ability to process incoming audio with the effects section, as well as the ability to onboard custom third-party content to the NTS-1, courtesy of the Log SDK from Korg. So you can actually load in custom third-party oscillator types. So here we have a really cool one. It's a J6 emulator, J6 being the Roland little Juno chord machine. And this oscillator type is actually complete with a sequencer and a whole bunch of different chord shapes. It's really quite powerful. And you can also upload custom third-party effects. So one of my favorites here from Hammond Eggs Music is the lovely Cathedral reverb. So let's listen to that J6 oscillator through this Cathedral reverb. I accidentally fat-fingered one of the keys there. Sorry about that. I mean, you can hear that's just beautiful. It's fantastic. Again, this feature pretty much would justify the $93 price of the NTS-1, especially combined with all the, the bass stuff that we just briefly went over. But when you look at the I/O of this thing, it gets even better. This right here is USB Micro B, which is one of the major downsides of this thing. That's how it gets its power, and it can do MIDI over it as well. But speaking of MIDI, right here, we actually have a 3.5mm MIDI input. So you can play this with an external keyboard controller. In fact, here's me playing it with my Arturia Keylab Essential Mark III. In addition, we also have sync in and out right here, which is nice for syncing it with things like the Microfreak or the Volcas or the Pocket Operators, anything that uses a 3.5mm sync. But right here is the true magic jack for me. This is the audio in, and this allows the NTS-1 to become one hell of an external effects box for incoming audio. All of these wonderful modulation effects, delays, and reverbs either first party from Korg or third party custom uploaded to the device, all work with incoming audio. There's so many pieces of budget gear out there that sound great but don't have any real reverbs or choruses or delays or anything like that. Take the Korg Volca keys, for example. It's got a delay, but it doesn't have a chorus or a reverb. And this is where the NTS-1 really shines, because you can just take your Volca keys to the absolute next level. How about something even bigger, even maybe a little less budget, like this Modal Cobalt 5S? This doesn't have a reverb, believe it or not. Let's dial in that cathedral reverb again and hear it through that. Another great, some may say legendary synthesizer of the more modern era here, the Arturia Microfreak. Fantastic device, no effects. Plug that into the NTS-1, we no longer have that issue. These effects also sound great with more rhythmic-oriented devices, like let's take the Bastel Castle drum here, which I just learned was sadly discontinued. That's a bummer. Let's hear it through some of these effects. And remember, this is all on top of the fact that we've got this synthesizer engine built into it with the different oscillator types, different wave shapes, and the third-party content, as well as a basic little arpeggiator and the ability to play this as a synth via MIDI. And yes, you can play this synth via MIDI and process it with the effects and still process incoming audio, granted with those same effects, so you can't have separate outs, but you can all do that at the same time. As far as I know, there is nothing else on the market still to this day, except for the NTS-1 Mark II, which Korg has put out, that can do this for such an affordable price. And like we've said a couple times, the NTS-1 is $93 US right now. The NTS-1 Mark II, I believe, is still $169.99. So while still pretty budget friendly, it's almost double the price of its predecessor here. There's just something so magic about having this one little box that, you know, fits in the palm of your hand. Now, granted, it's not battery powered, but you know, you throw it together yourself, you screw everything in, you plug it in, it takes, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And then, just like that, you've got, for $93 anyway, a pretty versatile synthesizer and an incredibly powerful effects box for your other gear. There's just nothing else out there like it, in my opinion. And I don't know, it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Throughout the filming of this video, I think I've discovered that my touch strip is starting to die. I can't remember the last time I really actually used the touch strip heavily. So maybe it's been dying for a while, but I will continue to use this thing via MIDI in and simply as an effects box because I love the way it sounds so very much, and people are still making new effects and oscillators for this lovely, lovely box. So yes, 5 years later, the Korg NTS-1 is still absolutely worth it, especially at that slightly discounted price. Pick one up if you don't have one already. Seriously, it's less than $100, just a wonderful piece of gear. Hats off to Korg on this one. They nailed it. And really quick, I'll just throw in, I bought this with my own money 5 years ago. This was when the channel had like, I think, less than 400 subscribers. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. I bought this one with my own money. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.